Chapter 6 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is dropping soon, so I'm back on my Boruto stuff. Chapter 5 had a very depressing vibe to it. We saw Sasuke become a god tree after sacrificing himself to protect Boruto, and Boruto returning to the Leaf Village, leaving us with a major cliffhanger. With that being said, we know Chapter 6 is going to be a banger, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about who taught Boruto the Flying Raijin. Chapter 4, we saw Boruto use the Flying Raijin to infiltrate Ko's dimension so he can destroy the Ten Tails. And the fandom went crazy because, for the longest, everyone has been comparing Boruto's potential and growth as a shinobi and being a prodigy to his grandfather, Minato. So Boruto using the Flying Raijin right after the Minato one-shot dropped a couple months back moved mountains, I'm not gonna lie. So let's talk about who trained Boruto and taught him the Flying Raijin. So you know it's theory time, and I'm about to talk a bunch of nonsense that sounds good, but you know the motto, just let me cook. In chapter 5, we learned that Sasuke taught Boruto all his moves in his arsenal. On page 3, Sasuke states, "I suppose I taught you almost all the moves and methods I know." Before that, he also said that Boruto learned all of this within a year, which is crazy, further proving our statement that the prodigy genes skipped over Naruto and went straight to Boruto, which is understandable. Your dad is the 7th Hokage and your mom is from the Hyuga clan, so of course you're going to have that dog in you. In the next page, the conversation continues and Sasuke tells Boruto that he's what they call a genius, and also said don't slack off, keep practicing and hone your mind and moves. Basically telling his student don't let that go to your head and don't fall off. But we have to pause. Sasuke alone knows a lot of techniques and different moves, which he accumulated on his blank period atonement mission that he went on after the end of Naruto Shippuden. Sasuke was also known as a prodigy / genius. Sasuke's battle IQ and level of genius is always on display whenever he's in a fight. We saw how Sasuke in Shippuden outmaneuvered Deidara in their fight. Or let's talk about how quickly he mastered the Rinnegan's abilities when he first attained it from the Sage of Six Paths against Kaguya and Madara. We've seen Sasuke use his genius mind to create his own techniques. He learned in the Naruto novel The Star Pupil that Sasuke created a cheap imitation to Haku's ice style, all through the simple combination of wind style and water style. So that long list of techniques in Sasuke's arsenal, Boruto now knows it. Boruto took his moves, took his drip, and also took his sword. And let's not forget, eventually, he might end up taking his daughter. I know y'all saw that hug at the end of that chapter. That's the same way Kushina hugged Minato after he woke up in the hospital. So you know what that means. In the future, my boy Saruto is going to be born. But let's move on from that. The Flying Raijin isn't in Sasuke's arsenal. Sasuke never needed to use the Flying Raijin to get to point A to point B because he had the Rinnegan. So a move like that would be trivial for somebody like Sasuke. So who taught Boruto the Flying Raijin? This isn't a technique that he just stumbled across and found out how to do it. No, somebody had to teach him. And the person who taught Boruto the Flying Raijin was Kashin Koji. And before you guys call me crazy, just let me cook. There's a couple clues within the anime and also within the manga to show that Kashin Koji was the one who taught Boruto how to use the Flying Raijin. In episode 211 of the Boruto anime, we saw Kashin Koji infiltrate the village again because his chakra was registered, because if you don't know by now, he was a clone of Jiraiya, so there was no way anybody was going to detect him when he entered the village. So he was walking around freely and his mission was to steal information on the jutsu and the shinobi of the past. At the start of the episode, Denki explained how his family's corporation digitized all the information and data of the shinobi in the Leaf Village. But the only issue for Kashin Koji was that it only had the information of all the shinobi after the 4th Great Ninja War. So this led Kashin Koji try to steal the rest of the information of the shinobi of the old. But we know that his plans were foiled by the hands of Shikadai, Chocho, Inojin, and Kakashi Sensei. This is important because Kashin Koji can infiltrate the Leaf Village and get his hands on the scroll whenever he wants. So it's possible during the time that Kashin Koji has been missing in action that he infiltrated the Leaf Village and got his hands on the scroll and used it to train Boruto. Boruto incorporates the Toad summonings from Kashin Koji with his markers to use the Flying Raijin clearly shows us that Boruto learned the Flying Raijin from Kashin Koji. In chapter 4 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, page 3, we see Boruto talking to the toad summoning on his shoulder. He says, "Could you be quiet for a second? I'm not as good at this as my grandpa." Boruto proceeded to use the flying Raijin to teleport himself right behind Code, and we see that Boruto was able to use the flying Raijin because of the toad summoning holding a mark. Also saw Boruto using the flying Raijin and that same marker held by the toad to dodge Bug's attack. But if you feel like Kashin Koji infiltrating the village and stealing that scroll again to train Boruto is too much of a reach, there's another possible scenario. In Naruto Shippuden, we learned that Minato traveled to Mount Mokuboku and trained there, just like Naruto and just like Jiraiya. And I'm pretty sure Jiraiya took him there. These core memories of Jiraiya taking Minato to Mount Mokuboku and training him will be inherited by Kashin Koji. Kashin Koji was injured by Jigen/Ishiki during their fight. I believe Kashin Koji transferred himself to Mount Mokuboku so he can regenerate and heal. Kashin Koji met Boruto after Sasuke became a tree. More than likely, Kashin Koji took Boruto to Mount Mokuboku to help him train and help him avoid Code. Boruto and Kashin Koji being at Mount Mokuboku, there are two possibilities where Boruto would learn the flying Raijin. One, Kashin Koji remembers Jiraiya's memories about Minato developing the flying Raijin and using those memories to help teach Boruto this technique. Or Ma and Pa probably remember how the technique worked. And my last theory, and I promise this is the last theory about how Kashin Koji taught Boruto the flying Raijin, and it's simple. Amando programmed the flying Raijin into Kashin Koji. Honestly, regardless on how Kashin Koji taught Boruto or how he learned about the flying Raijin technique, 9 out of 10, Kashin Koji was the person who taught Boruto the flying Raijin. It just makes a lot of sense. And at the end of chapter 4, it was confirmed that we will be seeing a lot more of Boruto and Kashin Koji working together to stop the God Tree clones. But I don't know what they're going to do against them. The God Tree clones seem broken, like ridiculously broken. But that's it for the video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think down in the comments.